Hello, welcome. My name is Zach Tefelsky. Zachary MT is my YouTube. Today we are back for episode 6 of the Tune-Up. I'm joined by two of my three frequent panelists that are along the ride more often than not. Today we got Marcus Vanderlee. He's in the middle of the screen. To the far left, we've got Derek Smith, and we know we are a bit behind. We want to get right into this show, and we want to not leave you waiting any longer. Hello to RN and Guest Posey in the chat. Thanks for joining along and thanks for waiting. We got a great show ahead for you guys today. We're going to be talking about Phoenix Race Weekend, of course, our primary segment, as well as Formula One Race Week. It's season opener time for the Global Racing Series. And of course, we're going to talk about some intricate topic as well. You won't want to miss our hot takes on the Xfinity Series finish at Phoenix, as well as all the stuff that happened in the Cup race. Without further ado, thanks for joining us as always, Derek, Marcus, and those of you in the chat. And we're going to hopefully be done by 10 today, 10 p.m. Eastern, with a slightly smaller panel. We will see where our conversations take us. Remember to always be involved in the chat. We like chatting with you guys on everything we talk about. And how about we get right into that Phoenix race? Mr. Marcus Vanderlee was at that race. The second time we've had people on our panel attend a race this season. It was first at Atlanta when myself and Cody watched that in person. Now we've got Marcus who saw everything firsthand with the new option tire. I shouldn't say new. We've seen it used sparsely before, but it's making its debut at Phoenix. And we definitely saw how that had its effect on the racing. I want to start definitely with you, Marcus. How about a
Yeah.
entry level question here? What did you see from the stand? Did it show well the different tires? Actually, I also want to ask, could you see the colors of the tires, or is that not possible?
So you could see the color of the tires as they drove by. Um, Sometimes you couldn't because what would happen is drivers would make contact, and obviously when you're rubbing with each other, you're rubbing like the lettering off the tires. So sometimes it was hard to tell which was which. But you could usually tell who was on what based on how fast they were flying through the field. I
Mm.
mean, for example, I believe it was it stage one. You saw Ryan Priest fly through the field on his options. Um, you know, led a couple laps. Same thing with later in stage three, he was leading a lot, and then caution came out for I believe it was the Catherine Leg Suarez incident, was it not?
Yeah.
I mean, then you saw, I mean, hell, at one point Logano came through the field. My grandpa was in the stands with me. Funny story. And my grandpa was like, "There's no way in heck he's doing that. He's got to be cheating."
Mm.
And he forgot about the option tire. To be fair, that was my first thought too because it's Logano. Who wouldn't think that?
Uh,
Um, Even at one point, you saw Ty Dillon fly through the field, right? And I was like, what? How? But it was really interesting. I mean, a lot of guys I saw they saved their options for the end of the race.
yeah.
Guys like I know Kyle Busch saved his. Chase Elliott. Those are the two main people I was watching because those two were next to each other all race, battling. So yeah, I was just watching them, seeing what they were doing. Kyle waited till the last two pit stops to use optionals.
Well, it's always interesting to hear from the fan perspective how that option tire racing looks. I mean, Derek, we know you're a pretty big F1 fan. Do you think this kind of adds a strategic aspect, not exactly like F1 has, but reminiscent of it that NASCAR's never had on ovals before?
Yeah, it definitely has. Although, NASCAR doesn't do a lot of road courses compared to F1, like
Mm.
they do it all the time. But still, the option tire showed the same thing as it does between the two, and I honestly really liked it a lot. It kept equal to the screen, and unlike Marcus, I had the graphics on the screen to tell me which person had each tire and
Sometimes
whatnot.
we had the graphics.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it was good to have those reds, the options like right next to the name or whatever to know who's going fast and who isn't.
I do know
And
at
this
least when they were under caution laps, you could see the color of the tires more
mhm.
often than not, depending on the camera angle.
Yeah, and this is a question for me to the panelists. Like, as someone who was at the racetrack, I heard things about the broadcast. I went back and I wanted to see the finish, what it looked like from TV because from my seat in turn four, it looked insane, right? I was like, oh, okay, the call must have been a really good call because Mike Joy. And then I go and look at the video, like it was just Clint Boyer yapping like the whole time, and Kevin Harvick saying like, "Oh, it's all about what they do in 3 here, right?" Like, was the
Skibbity
whole race like,
Riz.
yeah, yeah, was the whole race like that, or was there good
Yeah.
commentary throughout?
No,
Yeah,
it was
Oh
like that the
gosh,
entire time.
yeah.
dude,
I'm kind of glad you brought it up, Mark, because I really wasn't planning on addressing this in the show. I'm curious if anyone in the chat has thoughts on this that watched the race broadcast. I thought it was one of the worst booth broadcast in a while. It was more so that the booth was having issues than the actual producing. The camera angles all were fine throughout the race, but the booth, the chemistry was just like all off
that
the
was
charts
gone.
bad. It was not as bad had it normally been as it's normally been maybe before. I've actually thought this movie has been meshing well together, at least in some instances. But that race, all three of them were just not on their game. Mike Joy even messing up some statistics, and Clint Boyer not really sounding all that natural, and then Harvick himself. I mean, all three were not on top of their game, and it made for a not very meshed well together, for lack of better words, booth.
And at
So are
the
you guys?
beginning there, I was hearing the in-car radio interview with Boyer, Harvick, to Christopher Bell, and Boyer and Harvick were just looking at the screen like they had a gun pointing to their head. It was just eerie to watch.
Oh gosh, I now my main question is: would it have been better if I was at home? Would it have been better just to turn on my MRN like broadcast and match the broadcast
Yeah.
with MRN?
Hey, I listened to MRN actually a bit on Sunday. I had to go pick up my dad from an oil change, and I listened to their
Yeah.
call of the big one, surprising big one. And I've synced up the MRN broadcast once this season already. It was for the Truck Daytona race. It's a great experience, especially when it is the MRN people doing it. And PRN is cool as well. They cover usually the SMI races, but there's just something about MRN and the talent that they have on their
Hmm.
broadcast that just sounds like NASCAR, and it's awesome to listen to. They're always on point. On that topic, though, I mentioned the big one. I'm curious what we think of that, Marcus. I know you might have not had the best view of it, but you probably got a glimpse of it or something. Maybe
Oh
the
no,
smoke
I saw
flying.
it. I saw it real well, and I'll tell you why. I was in the concessions when it happened. I was
Really,
thirsty. I was thirsty. The one
of
time I
course.
go in the concessions, I, I see the big one happen on the TV. I'm like, damn it, dude! Like the one cool crash I was gonna see all race.
Would you have
But
seen it from your seats?
I would have seen a little bit of it. Where I was sitting in turn 4, I was sitting past the O'Reilly restart zone, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was O'Reilly this week of all
S-
things.
So
That
you couldn't see
cool.
the backstretch
The
then.
pylon and the big. So the thing is, the pylon and the jumbo screens, they kind of block your view. Your best shot of getting a view of the whole track is either being in the very top of the grandstands, being in the suites, or being on top of the suites. Like, cause I went to the 2022 spring race, got in the suites. That's where Briscoe won. You got a really good view of the entire track. It was like the best view I've ever seen.
Have you? So you've seen that before?
Yeah, so I've pretty much been everywhere you could go in Phoenix, except for the like the main garage area itself.
Did they add an arcade to the garage experience or something? I thought I saw.
Yeah, so if you go near the media center, the garages at the very end that aren't full are used for they use that for like an arcade. So like sometimes when I went before, I didn't go in the infield this time because my grandpa and I, we just went for the hell of it. We went and had fun. We still met drivers. We found Chase Briscoe at the Ford hauler of all places. um
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Interesting.
yeah, so no, we were just chilling, but usually they have an arcade right there next to the media center, and then that's where the red carpet happens and you could get all your autographs and stuff.
Yeah, it's no one doesn't consider Phoenix a state-of-the-art facility. It's more so been the racing product over the past couple of years, but we got treated
Yeah,
to something we've never seen before at Phoenix, and that's the option tire racing that allowed for comers and goers. For me, I'll ask you this, Derek, as well. I want to get your thoughts, Marcus, of course, as well.
yeah.
Comers and goers at a race like Phoenix or any type of race where it's not, drafting dependent. That's what I want to see in a race. I don't want to see just the same people running in their same spots, meaning that it's hard to pass and it's a very dependent track position in the game. Not to say that Phoenix has never not been dependent on track position, but you got to be able to at least make an effort to move through the field and comers and goers. That's my mark on it. I saw comers and goers on
Oh yeah.
Sunday.
Hmm.
Y- Yeah, and I think the first one that I saw all race do that. Logano was one of the first ones to try that
Yep.
red tire. Moved all the way past I think Bell, who was in second. Got I think 3 second advantage, and then eventually his tires did fall off, but he still finished second in the stage. So it
Uh,
was a really good move.
the 22 team elected to go on a different strategy after getting penalized for a very ticky-tacky restart violation from the lead. Marcus,
Hmm.
I want to ask you this again. Sitting there at the race, how did you learn of the penalty? Did you see it on the big screen?
Yes, and when I saw it on the big screen, a lot of people started cheering and clapping and all of that.
I heard he
What you
got
would
the most
expect.
boos, him and Hamlin,
Yep,
I think.
I contributed to the cheers for Hamlin. I like Hamlin. I contributed a lot to the booze for Logano. But yeah, like it's crazy how much things have changed. Like Logano's the only guy from 5 years ago who got booed all the time that still gets booed.
Yeah,
Like
he's
Kyle
been.
Busch. Kyle Busch got a lot of cheers, which is something I've never seen.
Mm,
Because even at the finale last year, Kyle Busch was getting booed. Like,
hmm.
yeah, he got booed at the finale last year.
I'm
And then
surprised he's still a
Keselowski.
hated driver in
I still
this
hear
stage.
mixed reactions for Kyle, but more so
Yeah,
cheers than it used to be.
yeah, it's a lot more. It's a lot more of the fact that a lot of the race fans are just Chevy fans now instead of
Hmm.
like
That's fair.
you know like. Oh, I also the third most boos besides Hamlin and Logano were for Bubba.
Hmm.
Mm.
Well, I mean, it was interesting, and I'm bringing this up now about the restart zone violation with Logano.
Yeah,
I was listening to On Track today on the NASCAR radio with Larry Mack and Daniel Trotta, I think, and Larry Mack said when he got notification of the penalty, he told his producer, "I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go walk to NASCAR, the officiating uh, area." And he walked to NASCAR. He said they gave him a black and white explanation. He said, "This is where the violation happened." Larry Mack then said, "Okay, I get it. I see what you called right there. It was a black and white situation according to NASCAR." And that's what they showed Larry. That doesn't change the fact that it was very ticky-tacky, and it shows that NASCAR will not allow so much so as an inch, apparently, to cross down that yellow line before crossing the line. Logano, as the leader, set that precedent early and got penalized for it. That's why he went on that different strategy. I mean, Derek, do you think that was a fair penalty? I mean, it was black and white. Larry Mack got that explanation, but is that too close?
I mean, the rules are the rules, I guess. He
Mm-hmm.
did put that one tire like barely below that yellow line, and then hit that finish line, and it's just really a tough break for Logano as personally a Logano hater. I even thought that was a little bit ticky tacky, but
Well, I mean,
yeah.
the what was I going to say? The NASCAR officiating has been inconsistent, and I mean, you look to
Hmm.
last week. I'm not saying they were inconsistent on the fact of how they called this Logano incident, but remember at Coda last week, drivers didn't necessarily get the memo that they were able to cut that final corner of the S's. I don't remember the corner number before they go into the
turn 6.
yeah, Mario shortcut on the track.
Yeah, why were
Uh,
they allowed to though?
I
That
That's
don't.
doesn't
like
make
a
sense.
that's something you would see on Roblox. Not even real, like not even an iRace.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they didn't seem to know that they could until throughout the race. Drivers started keying into the radio, and the
Like
NASCAR said they aren't really officiating that corner.
I know the first person I heard that asked about it was like Kyle Busch was
Hmm.
watching Van Gisbergen do it, and he was like, "Yeah, is like he's supposed to do that?"
Yeah.
Like the crew told him like if you do it that they're gonna get you first, and then they told him like, "Yeah, no, go ahead, go
Hmm.
ahead." My thing was at Coda last week as well. I don't know if you guys know this, but on the restarts, you're supposed to stay in line until the start finish line. These guys were all spreading out before the start finish
Yeah.
line. I don't know if it was just me.
Yeah, but Carson Osfar did at the beginning of the race, trying to pass, almost turning Bubba. But I
Hmm.
Yeah.
mean, get back onto the topic of this week. We had the penalties for the restart violation. Ultimately, I think Logano was the only one that got penalized for it. Uh,
Hmm.
and Logano still made one heck of an effort to salvage the day. We talked about the alternate strategy, but I want to talk more about these tires, these different tires that the teams have had access to. And to kind of dive more into that conversation, I'll be looking over to the chat as well. It certainly made for a good race, but I do want to kind of open up this kind of devil's advocate type of perspective on it. NASCAR had been refusing for a while now with this next gen car to do other ways to make the short track racing good. Phoenix technically is considered a short track under NASCAR's banner, at least how they look at it. And as a fan, I know I myself said you got to add the horsepower back to these cars if you want to get a more optimal short track racing package. NASCAR instead tried to adjust the tire compounds before coming to this option tire solution, quote unquote. I think at Richmond last year is when it debuted, and
North Wilkesboro, I'm pretty sure,
North
actually.
Wilkesboro. Yep, and then Richmond. So Richmond was the first regular season race. So for
Hmm.
me, this is a NASCAR just going deep into the bag to try and cover up what they know they don't want to do, and that's add horsepower to these cars, amongst other
Uh,
things. The next gen has definitely had its issues and continues to. I see it on these short tracks every single race, but throwing the devil's advocate thing aside, NASCAR maybe has found a manageable solution, albeit one heck of a boy. I mean, they put one heck of a thing together right here to try and make that short track racing better.
And so we're on the topic of tires. I saw
Yep.
that Posey in the chat. He said, "Would fans be comfortable with the option tire being used in the championship race, with it possibly being a championship decider altogether?" And I kind of want to hear your thoughts first, Zach.
Oh yeah, I heard once again going back to On Track today, listening to it on NASCAR radio. Noah Gragson was asked the question, I think by Larry Mack, or some version of the question. And Gregson was kind of indifferent on the option tire approach to Phoenix and maybe more short track races. But he said it was fun from the driver's seat, and he thought it was fun more often than it was not. He actually, I know I mentioned comers and goers. No, Gregson said it as well. He enjoyed that aspect of it, and I can't remember. I can't quote exactly. I think he brought up something on the lines of, I don't know if I want Phoenix to have the option tires. I think Gregson actually said, I wish we would just use the alternate, the red tires, because I feel like those are a good tire to where uh,
Hmm.
it's fun to race and it wears better in a sense that these drivers can save their stuff, but they got to be very strategic with it. And the ones that save it the best can utilize the best speed out of those tires. That's my thoughts on it. I aligned and I like what Noah Gregson said on it. I'm not sure if I want to see option tires at Phoenix for the championship race. Uh, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm just not entirely sold on it. Derek, do you have any thoughts?
well, if they do, for the championship race, then it's just gonna, and they have to like be consistent with it for a lot of the races, if not all of them, eventually in the future. Because I mean, you got a majority of the races without these option tires, and everyone's all used to the just regular primaries,
Mm-hmm.
and then going to the championship race, it's just all of a sudden it's a mix up, and then all that. It's just kind of unfair to those people who are used to the old regulations. That would mean NASCAR would have to implement this fully for it to be used
Yeah.
at the championship race.
I,
I
I
think
mean, I,
you're
I do know that I wish that race would have ran green to the end. I think some fans aligned with that as well because once we got those late cautions, a couple of them that eventually led up to the green-white checker finish. I don't think the race went into overtime. It was just a regular green-white checker. But
it was just regulation.
yeah, it would have been nice though to see how those tires would have the different strategies would have mattered at the end had it ran green to the end. But sometimes, and more often than not, that's just too much to ask at NASCAR, and that wasn't the case yesterday. Would have been interesting to see. That's a big what if, and would have been cool to see. Marcus, I did want to give you a chance to add your 2 cents on this.
I just want them to use the red tire as the primary
Yeah.
tire, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't want to see them use an option tire. I don't want them to like. They're slowly trying to become like, for the way I see it, they're slowly trying to become like F1, and they're not F1, right? They're trying to like do all these things that GT racing F1's doing, like single lugs, trying to see like get figure out ways to make the pit crews as fast as they can. Eventually, we're gonna see it where pit crews are jacking up both sides and getting 2-second pit stops, right? And that's not really what I want to see in NASCAR, because I think that just takes
No.
the strategy out of pit stops.
Yeah.
So. Like, I mean, it's kind of off topic, but also fits with this. Like, just keep one tire, bring a good tire, a soft tire, something that will
Hmm.
absolutely shred if you push it too hard, like what happened at Bristol.
Yeah. And maybe that's a bit too exaggerated. I do want to reference Noah Gragson one more time here, going on the word of exaggeration. Gragson thought this two-tire approach is cool, but he feels like the differences are just a touch too exaggerated. And he once again referenced the fact that it'd be cool to just stick with a tire built like the red tire. He feels like that's really good for the short tracks and maybe oval racing in general, but particularly the short track. While that's the racing product that NASCAR seemingly has to repair the most with these next gens, and I tend to align with him on that as well. It's just kind of a bit exaggerated seeing the two different tires and how different they are. I mean, we did have Ty Dillon after all slice through the field up to fourth, I think, not to diminish Ty Dillon as a racer, and I don't really want to as well, but it wasn't just Ty Dillon. We had Ryan Preece, Joey Logano, just kind
Hmm.
of showing an
Very good
example
point.
of the exaggeration.
And
Yeah,
go ahead, Dar.
yeah, and just in terms of like the durability of the tire, it seemed like the red tire like maybe would do like 25 laps less than the actual primary tire because we saw Logano go I think 70 in that state in stage 2 I believe, and
Mhm.
it really proved to be a durable tire for how fast it was.
Hmm.
Well, I think there's one more thing we want to talk about here before we shift our focus elsewhere, and might as well focus on the thing that really made that race memorable from a certain standpoint. That finish was regulation to Marcus's standpoint. Yes, it was a green-white checker, but it technically was not overtime. Uh, we can talk all day about the what ifs of if that race went green. Bell was up there anyways at the end, but we got ourselves a green by checkered finish, and we got one between two JGR teammates who definitely put it all on the line going into the final corner, and it was Bell probably in the
Uh,
best spot. He was on that inside, and this is where I really want to hear some opinions on this. Washed up the racetrack, I think intentionally so, just from the standpoint of he knew he was going to drive it in hard. You're racing for the win. Denny Hamlin washed up the racetrack with him just because he kind of had no choice. He ran up the track. They basically avoided contact all for the most part. I think there was maybe a tiny bit, but from my perspective, Bell ran Hamlin about as clean as you could without uh, running him 100% clean. He ran him clean for racing for the win. It is tough though from Hamlin's position. I really don't think there's much he could do to race for that checkered flag on the outside. Bell made sure to use up the majority of the room to win, but didn't do Hamlin completely dirty. Maybe did him a touch dirty, but nothing that I don't think is outrageous, especially in stock car racing. Curious what other people think.
I think it could have been a lot worse given what happened the day before.
Yeah, we're gonna get into
Um,
that too.
my thoughts was Bell almost gave Larson the win, and I thought Larson was
Mm,
about to just. I thought Larson was about to come on through and just steal it. That was the only lap he would have led all
they did
day.
make contact, Bell and Larson.
Yeah, Larson gave him a shot, and I think it gave him a little boost ahead of Hamlin instead of wrecking him.
I bet if Larson turned Bell right there, Bell still would have won at the time that they made contact. It's certainly been. Well, I don't know if I want to say that. Hamlin was right there on the outside. Bell
Yeah,
probably still would have beat Larson, but that would have been
dude,
interesting.
Hamlin executed that restart so perfect.
Yeah, and he got to the
Just
outside of Bell.
yeah, he was making it work. I mean, that's like a thing about Phoenix is like yeah, all the PJ ones worn out now
Yeah,
to the
that's
point
good to
where
see.
Phoenix is naturally just multi groove now. You know, you've got cars who run all the way as low as they can, like on the apron on these restarts, and then you got guys going on the wall, just trying to get around. You know, and it's
That's
really cool to see.
I do think it could have been a different outcome had Bell ran his line more focused on just running the bottom versus more being concerned about Hamlin on his outside and trying to use him up without using up all that racetrack, I should say. And Hamlin maybe had quite the position there had Bell stayed glued to that yellow line on the inside. It's just trying to make it to the line. And Derek, do you think that was fair or foul on Bell's part?
Oh, not foul at all. I mean, it was probably the cleanest move for the win I've seen in a long time. You know, he moved him up a little bit, but he didn't spin him or anything, or
Hmm.
even rustle him that much. I mean, it was perfect execution on him. Had perfect class as well, and him being a three-time winner is something that I'm very happy of, just because he had such a clean finish, and I mean, even if he did spin him, I still would have uh, respected him for going for the win, and because that happens all the time when you're going for the win.
I don't think people think of Bell as a dirty racer. I mean, he is one of the most talented drivers in Cup now. I think that's a general consensus. Consistently a championship threat, has had championship four appearances. And now, to your point, Derek, winner of three straight. This is a driver that I think is the dog at Toyota. I feel like I've mentioned this before. I feel like he is already the top dog at JGR. Hamlin, obviously is not what he used to be. He could still compete for championships, but it's just more so a compliment to Christopher Bell, what he's become. Martin Truex is retired. Kyle Busch is out of the Toyota camp. Christopher Bell is as talented as they come, and I think he has championships in his future. If anyone else, if you guys want to add anything else on this topic, I'm with you. Bell, I think, did the best thing he could do to race for the win. He earned that positioning on the inside. Hamlin subsequently decided to run on the outside. You're always in a more vulnerable spot on the outside, and case in point, Bell won with that inside advantage, using it up to his best of his ability, and that's what we got.
Yeah, and in terms of like now that Christopher Bell has 3 wins in a row in the fourth race, I'm just thinking like over the past decade or so, we haven't really had like a super dominant driver in the cup ranks, because usually it would be like one win next week, the other
Hmm.
next, and so on. Usually like the best driver would have like 3 or 4 wins, and I think like Byron even made a case one year. He got like 6, but we just never had like a 10+ win year from anyone in a while. So I'm just wondering when that will next
Yeah,
happen.
I mean, Kyle Larson was good. We had the big three in 2018. The last driver, though, that won four straight races in the Cup Series, Jimmy Johnson in 2007. We've had multiple drivers on
Uh-huh.
the cusp of winning three straight recently throughout the years in Cup. Most of them have actually suffered quite the wrecking fate in their attempt for four. We look at Kyle Larson in 2021, blew a tire leading on the last lap at Pocono in turn three. We had, I think, Kyle Busch had a chance to go four straight in 2015 and ran out of fuel on the last lap at Pocono. Joey
Wow.
Logano got wrecked by Kenseth, I think, going for four straight, of course, at
Yep.
Martinsville. And I think there's one more. Harvick got into ran into Larson, I think, or got into it with Larson at Auto Club. That was in 2018. A bunch of examples right there. Hopefully,
Yeah.
Abel can just keep it clean next week to at least avoid wrecking and his chance to go for four straight, even if he doesn't win. I will leave this there, and we'll close the book on this Cup Phoenix champion or Cup Phoenix race. I should say we're not the championship yet. We are going to stick with Phoenix here very briefly, and on this topic of the finish, on this topic of fair or foul, let's talk about that Xfinity finish on Saturday between Eric Almirola and Alex Bowman going for the win, and Eric Almirola on the bottom ended up using up Alex Bowman, and this could be more so just my opinion, taking my words out of my mouth right here, and gave Bowman no chance on the outside. They got into the wall, they got into each other. Smoke was flying. Eric Almirola won as a result of that. Fair or foul? Marcus, I'll go to you.
I mean, so I think Bowman was actually about to get the run and win if
Oh,
Almirola didn't do
I think
that.
so.
And I didn't actually see the finish initially, right? I was listening to MRN, and MRN was like, they were talking about the photo finish, they made contact, whatever. I thought, okay, it's not that bad, is it? And then I saw NASCAR Hotspots post when I got home saying like this finish made made Hemrick look like a saint actually. And I
Mm.
watched it and I'm like, dude, what is that? Like Almirola's a 18-year veteran at this point of racing in NASCAR. I just about 18 years. That's as far back of him as I remember. But um, to win the race like that from someone that experienced, like that's just not. I don't think it's a really good way to do it. I mean, sure, your guys at home are happy, like good, well, that's good. But I mean, Bowman drove his butt off and did everything he was supposed to do. he did not do anything wrong in that final restart. It was mainly just Allgaier and Almirola getting into each other.
Mhm.
Bowman made a cool 4 wide move, got by. He did everything right besides miss the bottom in turn 3. And that's what at the zone fan booth appearance that Kyle Busch made yesterday. That's exactly what he was saying. He was saying like, he's watching a replay like, both guys failed to do their job and they both missed the bottom.
Yeah. Well,
So I think foul.
yeah, and I will mention one more thing on this real quickly, and well, no, you know what? That thought escaped my head. I'll think about it here. I'll flip it to you, Derek. Fair or foul?
Well, remembering the finish, I mean, I just remember Bowman leading it by a good amount, but as he went into turn one, it just seemed like he just washed up a lot, and that just allowed Eric Almirola to slip really close to him. And he almost hit the wall coming off of turn one too. So in that case, he was already on the losing end right there. I mean, Eric Almirola is right on his bumper, and and then like Marcus said, he went high again, and maybe hoping to get a runoff. But I think Almirola saw it happening, and he knew that he was going to get that runoff. And yeah, I mean, he got into him in the wall, but uh, I can't. I don't want to say it's like 100% foul, but it's definitely not really uh, not really liked upon drivers usually when people do that. But fans obviously like it, especially coming from a veteran like Almirola. Kind of got ousted from the Cup Series in a somewhat unfair way. But I'm gonna say partially foul on this one.
And that flips it to me. The one thing I was just going to add is Justin Allgaier had that race won before a caution came out, though anyone that watched that race knows that.
Oh
And,
yeah, I
and
do remember that.
but Alex Bowman and Eric Almirola are both top five cars, especially Bowman, who won the pole and was up front literally all day long, won the stage, I think. And yeah, so I'll give my thoughts now on fair or foul, and I will reference back when we did our first ever episode of the show. We were transparent. We made it clear who our favorite drivers are. And for me, Alex Bowman is who I ride with as a Jimmy Johnson fan in the Cup Series nowadays. And so I would have very much liked to see him win even an Xfinity race on Saturday. He only runs one Xfinity race or so a year with the Hendrick 17 deal with that Hendrick Cars ride. And putting everything aside, flipping right to the entry into the final corner right here. Remember, they were not entering the corner side by side. Bowman had them cleared, unlike the Cup race on Sunday. Bowman elected to go high, and this is where I'm going to start my thoughts on this before I get to my answer. If Bowman went low, I think Eric Almirola, when you're driving stock cars, you give Eric Almirola the right to give you the bumper, not wreck you. That's if Bowman had chose to go low. Bowman made the choice to go high. It kind of surprised me. I thought for sure he'd protect that inside. Usually you don't see a leader, especially at Phoenix, choose to go to the high side, trying to protect the win in the final corner, but that's what Bowman did. And for the while, it looked like it was going to work out. I think it would have worked out had Eric Almirola not, in my opinion, used him up more so than what was fair, even for stock car racing. We've seen plenty of instances of drivers getting physical, racing for the checkered flag throughout NASCAR history. But this is where it goes back to Bowman was clear going to turn three. He did not uh, shut off the options that Almirola had. He gave Eric Almirola the bottom. Eric Almirola had every right to race him to the line, maybe even make contact car to car, but not sandwich him into the wall. Almirola looked like he got loose a little bit, but he also said in his post-race interview he did not shy away from basically saying, "Yeah, I was probably going to use a Bowman right there. I wanted to win it," and that's what happened. I really don't even like how Almirola kind of talked about in the interview. It kind of felt like he was just not making a big deal of it, and Bowman wasn't too happy. So I say foul. And Bowman ran that high side. He ran it well. Interesting way to protect the lead, but he would have had it won, it looked like, had Amarola not just completely lost regard for that bottom side and sandwiched Bowman into the wall. That's what allowed Amarola to win that race. And for me, my opinion's foul. We're all kind of fouls across the board with a little bit of hesitance on Dar's part. And we look here in the chat, guest Posey41 saying foul. He brings up situation, immediately gets showed up by the Cup Series finish the next day. It's a good point right there. Bell, it's slightly different to my point. They were side by side going into that final corner. Bell, though, gave Hamlin at least a chance on the outside, didn't put him into the wall. Almost did, but didn't. They didn't make a whole lot of contact. So that's our thoughts on that. And we're going to move on here past NASCAR for now. And we've got, for the first time in this show's history, Formula One race week. They are, of course, kicking off the season as they usually do at Melbourne, all here around mid March. It's the last major racing series that we cover that starts their season. And I think there's a lot of excitement in the year. We've been touching on F1 briefly throughout a couple of episodes here. I will start with Derek. And are you excited for F1 to get back going? I know that's probably an easy question to answer.
I mean, 100%. I mean,
Mhm.
I was literally talking about driving testing last week. That's
Yeah.
such a nerdy thing to do.
hmm
But yeah, no, I really been looking forward to this off season. 6 rookies. I mean, 4 true ones, or yeah, 4 true ones, and also Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. I mean, it's just really a good time to be an F1 fan. These top tier marker cars going to be very fast, and we got a fun weekend to look forward to here.
I mean, I think in all the seasons now that we looked at, where with the streak of Verstappen being the champion, going back all the way to the title fight directly with Hamilton that gave us that memorable Abu Dhabi race. This has
Hmm.
got to be the most exciting season that you have all the reason to be excited for before the first race even gets underway. There's so much parity across the board. You mentioned the drivers changes, so much drivers and new faces, so much faces and new places, I should say, and a couple brand new faces as well, and a lot of new liveries. Hamilton certainly going to be something that's going to be you got to get used to that. It might take me a couple
Yeah,
races to see him in those Ferrari colors, but I saw a glimpse of it at the Ferrari testing exhibition they did, and I mentioned parody, and I really do think there's reason to be optimistic in the parody that you're going to see this season because why? We saw it towards the entire really second half of F1 last year, even with the Verstappen championship. For the first time in a couple of years with this new car, Red Bull is vulnerable and definitely
yes.
vulnerable to say the least. So I don't know what to expect from Melbourne. In years past, to my point, it'd be easy to say, yeah, Verstappen's got this under wraps. He'll probably win, but no, I'm not going with that. And I really don't even have an answer. I think there's reason to be optimistic for McLaren and Ferrari. I do think
Mhm.
McLaren's going to make a lot of noise this year, might even compete for the title in constructors and drivers. That's my 2 cents on this. And Marcus, curious what you think.
I really quick, 2 questions. My first one is Melbourne back to being the season opener instead of
Yes.
Bahrain?
Yep. So yeah, it's changed a little bit, but it's back to what we had pre-COVID. That's why I referenced it back to the norm that I've been used to as of late.
Okay. And then my second question is I know Fernando Alonso's one of the rookies. Who's the others?
That yeah, yeah. The common joke with Fernando Alonso, he had like a crash in testing. I think Spanish Grand Prix practice very long time ago, and he like had like weird side effects or something. People think it halted his aging process. For those that don't know, so that's why Marcus makes that joke there.
Yeah, I'm
I
glad you
thought
gave
So
it
he's
I
still
thought the
context.
rookie
joke
here at the age of
Wait,
like
I thought
41.
the joke came from the fact they did the rookie test in 2020. I thought that's what it came from. No?
Maybe that's the case.
I
I
think
did not hear
both.
about that one. Both, yeah, both of them.
Huh.
But yeah. I mean, I also want to point out with this Australia Grand Prix, not just the it's going to be I think a 12 a.m. start time Eastern
Oh,
time zone.
That's
So
watchable for me.
yeah,
that's watching. That's 9 o'clock for me
Mm.
actually.
yeah. So Marcus is chilling, but and there's also a large rain threat, 60 to 80%
Yep, I've
of
been
this week.
seeing that.
Oh.
And that's where when you got the rookies in the field, that could get a bit interesting. It's not like the
Yeah.
rookies are racing for the first time, but at the F1 level, yes. And it's always a different beast. That could be exciting. Usually, I haven't thought of Melbourne as, a rainy place. It is Australia after all. We haven't had a lot of historically rainy races at Melbourne. That could be quite the sight to see. And that,
Oh
you
man.
talk about parity, you throw the rain on top of it. You might have a Williams win. Not to say that Williams is even going to be that bad this year. There's a lot of reason to be optimistic for the Williams camp, but just
Yeah.
stuff like that. When the
Yeah,
rain
wild
starts
card
pouring,
winning.
anyone could win. That's right, Derek. Boy,
Can
Yeah.
I
I'm really excited.
can I get my 2 cents with the rain really
Yes.
quick? I think this, if it does rain, can I go ahead and lock Verstappen in for being at least on the podium with that?
I would,
Yeah,
yes.
that is a good
Like,
point.
I think we'll see Verstappen. I don't know if Aston Martin this year is going to do anything or if they're focusing fully on the 2026 season with the new regulations coming. Oh
Mm-mm.
yeah, we got to talk about Cadillac too, by the way, while we're on this.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
touch on it.
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see if Aston Martin, if Adrian knew we did bring something for them, I could see Alonso getting on the podium. Like Verstappen, Alonso, Hamilton, big three. Those are the guys I would expect to look for if it does rain.
The experience and driver's skill certainly will show up. I'm glad you brought that up, though, Marcus. Cadillac. And how about we do give some light on that topic? We've got an American racing brand joining F1 after years of limbo, and Andretti, the name popping up as someone trying to get into F1. We now have an 11th team scheduled to join the grid in Cadillac. And that will certainly be a sight to see. That's got to give American racing fans quite the reason to really get into F1 had they not been before. And I know myself is going to be a part of that category as well. Excited to see what Cadillac has in store. Derek, your thoughts?
Yeah, I do like another American team. Haas is also an American team. They're from I think
But they
North
use a
Carolina.
Ferrari power, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, they do.
I believe Andretti or not Andretti. Is Andretti still involved with it, or did they back out fully?
Yeah, they didn't have enough support from
Mm-hmm.
the people at the higher powers, but
Okay.
yeah, no, the Haas F1 team's headquartered in North Carolina, but
Mm-hmm.
still, not nevertheless though. I mean, another American team, especially Cadillac, out of all the brands, it's like a whole different ball game than Haas because
Yeah,
Haas hasn't been competitive for
yeah,
years, but maybe
that's the thing.
Cadillac can bring something to the table.
Yeah, a whole lot of new optimism. Marcus, are you going to be buying maybe some Cadillac merch, or is that going to be way too expensive?
I don't know. I mean, if Cadillac sheet metal's cheap, then maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I gotta say, it makes me wonder. I mean, I might buy a little bit of it, but my thing is like, if so, they're gonna run their first year. I believe I read somewhere they're gonna run their first year with Ferrari powertrains, and then just so they have time to build their own engine. Don't pull what Lola pulled back in the '90s and just go belly up. My thing is, will Haas switch to Cadillac once Cadillac is ready to
Hmm.
start producing their own motors, just so Haas is a fully American team again?
Yeah. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting. It's hard to make predictions on that front, but glad we were all sharing excitement for Melbourne, and with the news of Cadillac, that's even more reason to be excited for just the future of F1 in general from an American
22
racing fan.
cars, heck yes.
Yeah, an 11 teams, an uneven number of teams, but 22 cars. I mean, could this be the door opening for F1 to grow further, or is 22, is that going to be the cap? It's really hard to predict on that front as well, but I've always thought that F1 was in a good spot with an even 20 cars and 10 teams, but no longer the case, and I'm not really complaining about it. Melbourne is this weekend at 12 a.m. As you mentioned, I assume that'll be 12 a.m. Saturday night,
Sunday.
technically.
Yeah, Saturday night, but going in the
For us, yeah,
Sunday
of course,
technically. Yeah.
Sunday for the
That
F1 local.
scared me. Okay.
All right, and so we'll leave that there, and we'll be watching Melbourne intently. I should have no reason I can't watch it, and we'll look forward to that. Let's move on though. And maybe we should have rated the race after we talked about Phoenix, but nonetheless, let's rate the race, Phoenix edition. Derek, I'll start with you. Reintroduce the topics we'll be rating and give your ratings on it.
For rating the race, we use a scale with four factors. The first one is racing product. The next one is excitement, then finish, and then an overall finish. You could either want to say your own number for the overall, or I calculate it personally.
All right, so you can start off, Derek.
All right. So I put for the racing product, I thought that it was really good. Maybe compared to other fans out there, because I know Phoenix gets a lot of hate. Uh, I put that at a 7.7. Uh, and then next with excitement, I put an 8.1. It was just overall really exciting with that whole new option tire, and I really liked the mix up of that. Seeing cars go through the field, even like backmarker cars. I saw Cody Ware get pretty far up with the option tire compared to everyone else. And then for the finish, I mean, that's pretty good finish right there. I put that at 9.3. We talked about it. Christopher Bell, uh, putting on a class of a show, getting past Denny Hamlin, and even Kyle Larson was there to make it 3 wide at the end. So the overall for me is an 8.37.
All right. Marcus, I'll give it to you. The race attendee, give your race ratings for Phoenix.
Yeah. Let's see. So it's excitement, finish, and racing product.
Mm,
Yeah.
You said okay. Excitement. I'm gonna say like a nine. As from the fan, like from the grandstands perspective, it might be a little bit
Oh, that's
might be a
okay,
little
cause
biased. Yeah.
it's okay, cause Zach and Cody were at Atlanta
mhm,
not too long ago. So
Yeah, I'm gonna say like a nine for the excitement. The option tire made it really interesting. Also, my least favorite driver did not win the race, so that's a really good uh bonus on top of it. Racing product. I mean, you saw passing, and that's something that we've been wanting at Phoenix forever. And I thought it was really fun. I mean, that was the first Phoenix race in a long time that didn't sell out due to just how boring the races got. And then all of a sudden, you got a good race, the one race the grandstands don't sell out.
yeah.
And so I think that'll bring fans back once they realize, oh, maybe this is actually a good race. Maybe I need to go back to this. I'm gonna say like a nine as well for the racing product. Actually, 8.5 for the racing product. And then the finish was a 10. A lot of respect. Very entertaining. Everyone was on their feet for that. I even went as far as I had like earmuffs on, like kind of cancel out the noise. I just decided I wanted to hear the cars scream past me and
Huh?
scream to the finish line and whatnot. So I just took them off. It was really nice hearing them. I didn't lose any hearing after that race, so I mean, it was a lot of fun. I gotta say it was a 10 out of 10 finish.
yeah,
So let's see. It was
that's a 9.16 overall for you,
okay.
Marcus.
How do I make it a 9.18?
Uh, uh,
18. Like I gotta make it the Kyle
yeah.
Busch.
I think you just need to put on like a point one or two to one of your ratings to do that.
I don't know. I don't know.
So,
Yeah, I'll just keep it what it is.
All right.
all right.
So that leaves it to me, and we're going to try and have the show wrapped up in the next 2 minutes. I'll be relatively quick with this one. So I'll start with racing product. Uh, yes, to Marcus's point, and I've got to rate racing product based on the track at hand. You don't rate Phoenix expecting Daytona style passing. And so Phoenix definitely, I think maybe since the renovation, definitely since next gen, probably the most intriguing cup race there. And for that reason, the option tires certainly added in quite the factor and factors on top of that with other aspects of the race. I'll give the racing product an 8.6. I'll move on here to excitement, and you had for me it was a touch better than just average Phoenix, the way I perceive average Phoenix, and because I'll rate finish after this. Excitement is a different level here. Uh, I guess it kind of hurts it watching it on TV, and I will give the excitement though a 7.9. Well, from a Phoenix, rating perspective, that leaves me with the
Mhm.
finish. And finish very good, very respectful between two highly talented drivers and a driver winner that I do not mind at all, and Christopher Bell. I can't give it perfect rating though because I like a green light checkered even if it wasn't overtime, it's just not as organic for me. So I'm gonna give it a 9.8.
All right, and that gives you an 8.76. So that means like we've all had at least an 8 for this race. I think it's probably one of the highest ones so far this year.
Mm, all right.
That's like weird to say for especially for a Phoenix race. That's
Yeah.
really weird to hear.
Well, I have
Yeah.
to keep reminding myself I can't, I've got to be considerate of what Phoenix is as a racetrack, and so I try to rate accordingly.
And obviously, the greatest racetrack on the planet is
Mm,
what it is. You gotta imagine you would have the best racing, which we had the best racing possible. That's why we have the championship. Definitely not money or any of that.
mm. All right. Well, on on that note, let's move on. Is anyone able to pull up fantasy
Yeah.
standings real quick? We're gonna quickly glance over those
I think Briscoe hurt my fantasy this week.
and just
Uh-oh.
quickly give light to who's atop.
Yeah.
And
I
I
will say I made I
there
mean, we're gonna make picks in a little bit, but I definitely cooked on my picks with Bell going 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So these are top contenders for this week, specifically. Looks
Well,
like
we got a new leader, I think.
That was that was the race that Nate
this is
got
for
the best.
this race, by the way.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, yeah. So this is how everyone did this week.
How
So
low did I finish?
yeah, let's see.
Oh god, that's
Oh my
Briscoe.
God.
It's Chase Briscoe that hurt my fantasy because I think everyone else I had got a top 10.
I made my first garage change in the fantasy season so far, and it was to move Chase Briscoe out for Byron.
Yeah, my problem is I made a garage change because I had Briscoe and I had Hocevar, and then Hocevar wrecked, but I moved Hocevar in because he had like 3 more points than what Briscoe had. But yeah, do we want to talk about? We forgot to talk about Spire. What was going on with McDowell yesterday?
Spire just didn't have a good day. McDowell had
McDowell
tires, I
he
think.
he blew a tire twice
Yeah.
in the same tire. Like I know I saw the turn 3 spin happen right in front of me.
Yeah, a lot happened.
Aspire, I think everyone finished like 20th or 30th or worse even. So they're going to be looking for a
And they
rebound
all
next week.
qualified, and that's after they all qualified in the
Yeah,
top 10.
Hostfire was like up front at the start.
Yeah. Also, I mean, look at what a great what a great fantasy performance there from Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, he and Sticky Fingers as well.
Yeah,
Sticky
those
Fingers is new. He is a new addition to the league.
Yeah, we'll see if he can crawl his way back up. I haven't seen T Sage do
All
anything in
right.
a long time.
So do you got the overall standings?
Yep, the overall standings are right here.
And
King's still up
yep,
here.
he has
I'm
been
I'm
for
still
much of the season.
I think he finished second this week in total points.
I'm still ahead of Tony. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And you look through the rest right here. We'll get one last glimpse of it before we make our Vegas race picks ahead of wrapping up the show. There you go.
Yeah, again, Tyler and Sticky Fingers are going head
Mm.
to head right there.
They
What
got
the
they might be tank ball all of a sudden for these guys.
There's a league chat. What?
All right.
Oh,
Let's move on here. We're going to try and wrap up the show quickly here in the next 5 minutes. Let's make our quick, not much description for our Vegas race picks. I'll start with you, Marcus.
okay, Vegas. Who comes to mind? Joey Logano has won twice there in the next gen era. Has won
Mostly
there.
in the spring race,
No, it's mostly
sometimes
the
in the
fall
fall
race.
race.
But he also won the 2020 spring race. I'm gonna say
Mm.
Joey Logano. He's had a great start to the year. 4 top 10s. Not, I know you said not much description, but I'm gonna put this stat out really quick
All right.
that I saw today. Logano is the first driver since the Final Four innovation to score a top 10 uh, in the first 4 races of the season, I
Mm.
believe, or is like multiple top 10s in the first 4 after winning it. So I have Logano as my first pick. Second pick I have is Kyle Busch is always good with the he's always good with the mile and a half, always good on the bigger tracks with RCR. And he's shown a lot of speed. I'm pretty optimistic based on what I saw recently. He showed a lot of speed at tracks he doesn't usually show speed at, like Phoenix. So I'm gonna say he's up there. And my underdog for the week, I'm kind of cautious about picking a Spire driver this time.
Mm.
Can I say Ryan Preece is an underdog?
Sure, I'll give it to
Sure.
you.
Yeah.
He doesn't
He's
have a
not.
cup win.
He hasn't really done enough yet, so I still think he's an
Yeah,
underdog.
definitely. Yep.
I think he showed speed at Phoenix, and I think this is going to be the first true test to see what can Ryan do on one of the main tracks that NASCAR goes to. This is our first cookie cutter of the year, so I'm going to say let's throw a Priest in there, see what he does.
Mm.
Okay. I'll go next. I think Larson's the safest bet here. He's
Yeah.
won the most amount of Las Vegas races, so that's my first pick. Second pick, I'm gonna choose Reddick. I think he's just been really good this year and last year, so I always have a good feeling about him. And my underdog, someone who's been really bright recently, Hocevar, nearly won Atlanta. Feels
Yeah.
like, and even though he's DNF'd a couple races, I feel like he's been up there a lot.
All right, and so my winner pick is the driver I believe who finished second in last year's spring race. That was Tyler Reddick. I expect him to make noise.
Mm-hmm.
Another driver I expect to make noise for my second winner pick is Ryan Blaney, one of the easier winner picks you can make week to week, but wouldn't surprise me a bit if he goes out and wins Vegas. And my underdog, going to be a Las Vegas driver, Noah Gregson.
Hmm.
Was really sold on just his perspective on things listening to his interview today. Noah Gregson, I think, has had somewhat of a decent ledger racing at Las Vegas in the Cup Series. I think more so even in Xfinity. And so for me, I'm riding with Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, and Noah Gregson. That
And
is the panel's Las Vegas race picks.
just
All
to add on, I believe Gregson got a top. I believe he got a top 10 at Vegas last year. I could be
right.
wrong, but I think
That's
he
what
got
I'm
like
thinking.
8th.
That's where it's like I feel like he's been not that bad in next gen there in his short career. Like
Besides the legacy,
yeah.
but
So with that, like I said, we are on point here. We're going to wrap up the show. Join us next week. We're making this schedule change. We might stick with it. 9 p.m. Eastern on Mondays for each new episode of the Tune-Up. We'll be recapping the F1 season opener next week, as well as NASCAR at Las Vegas, among some other intricate topics as well. Thanks for joining us in the chat today. Cody wasn't here today, and we'll see if he returns next week. We'll even ask him for an explanation, perhaps as well. But
Yeah, we better.
until then, my name is Zach Tefelsky, joined by my panelists Derek Smith, Marcus Vanderlee. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you at episode 7. Take care.